as leaders, our goal is to be able to empower our people to do better, right? We want to lead them to the destination that we want to go, but it starts with vision. And if I had to pick somebody that I know that's a leader that has a more powerful vision than this person, I don't think I could, because that's what inspires me about it, amongst other things about this individual. And it's Andy Zamora. And so we'll just call it by Andy's name instead of saying this gentleman. It's been amazing to be able to watch him develop his team. And when I first met Andy, he spoke at one of our Level Up events. And I don't know, Andy, you probably had a group of 5 or 6 people at the time, maybe even that. And it's been amazing to watch not only his ability grow, like his own personal performance, his own skills and strengths improve, but the people around him and the ability that he's been able to empower them to another level. And meeting some of those people when Andy first spoke at my event and now seeing them, it speaks volumes to the leader that they follow, and that's Andy. And so to watch people like Betche and Chente and these different people really go to a whole new level as leaders themselves, not only as salesmen, as entrepreneurs, but as leaders. And now that they're building teams below them, it speaks volumes to Andy and his ability to communicate the vision. And so today's topic is really about leadership and vision. And to be a great leader, you have to think of great leaders as visionaries, right? These people that have this undeniable vision, this locked focus, right? Ultimately, what is a visionary? It's somebody that their vision can't be stopped. I mean, we think of Martin Luther King. I mean, that is the definition of a visionary, a man that would not allow anything to knock him off on the path to the goals that he had. Right, the tattoo on my back, my clan Anderson. Our motto is stand sure and don't let anybody knock you off on the path to your destination. And so for me, it's been my life to focus on this. Since I was a young kid, I got inspired by that statement, stand sure. And I see Andy, and Andy as a leader stands sure for his organization, for our community. I live here in the Modesto area, and Andy empowers people, even though he lives 6 hours away. Every day I meet people that are like, Andy's empowered or inspired me to do this. Andy's inspired me to do that. And that comes from Andy's vision for not only for him, his organization, but for the community, right? He often says the word, I'm sure he'll say it today, my people. And at first, when I first heard Andy say that, I really thought he meant his team. And then I really realized that he's putting an area on his back and saying, yo, I'm going to show you how to get to the promised land. And he's not just showing them, he's inspiring them through his words, through his efforts, through his time, because he pours time into these people. And so, I wanted to bring Andy on today because not only is he an amazing entrepreneur, amazing powerhouse salesman, I mean, just the numbers that they're producing are just at a whole nother level, right? But more importantly, the way he's able to lead people, not only just in business, but in life and fitness. I mean, he's got more people changing their physical being than changing their bank accounts, which is crazy, right? And we as leaders, we think sometimes that we've got to inspire our people by giving them more money, but it's about giving them time. It's about pouring into them. It's about helping them understand that you care more about their life success than your financial rewards. And Andy's been able to do that just tremendously. And so without further ado, I want to bring on Andy. Andy, man, I appreciate you for taking the time to jump on the call with us today.
I appreciate it, brother. That was a beautiful intro. And, I was asked yesterday, because here and there I get thrown, or, I get referred to as like, oh, my boss, Andy. And I actually don't really, I don't really like that word, the whole boss thing. It's almost like that's a guy that pays me. Whereas, sometimes people throw in the word leader, and it's not like I'm going after that title either, but truth is I'm just doing what I'm striving to become one day, and people are choosing to follow that guy. And what I'm after more than anything is just being a great human being, and I think a lot of people respect that before any boss title or even the leadership title, because I'm not after that title either.
And Andy, let me just to kind of give you guys some context of how we're going to go about this. I wanted to bring Andy on, and I wanted to ask you some questions, Andy. These are some things that I'm gonna be very honest, guys. These are some greedy questions. These are some things that I want to know about how I can become a better leader, how I can become a better person as well. And so I'm going to ask Andy some questions. And if you guys have any questions as well, feel free to jump in here and ask Andy any questions. You know, even though we're in completely different industries, I'm inspired in your ability to communicate. And it's not just about communicating the mission at hand. It's about how you've been able to communicate people's best interests.
Yeah.
How do you go about that when you're dealing with somebody and you want to take them from, man, I'm struggling. I don't know how to gain traction in forward progress in my life. How are you able to communicate to these people so well to almost help them see something that they can't even see in themselves?
Can you make me a co-host? I could almost share a screen here. But look, I've been very careful about prescribing anything really. Like I don't try to push people to do things that, like, I don't know if that's something they even want for themselves. You know, so before I make any type of recommendation, or I'd like to ask a few questions first, and then based on what I think may be helpful. Like I rarely come off as someone that is clear that is truth, like universal truth. It is just an opinion based on my experience. And when people know that, you know, I'm not trying to come off as a dude that has the answers, and I'm not trying to push you to do something that like I've set for myself. And it's something that you gave me permission to advise on based on what you're saying your goals are. And based on my experiences, I share, you know, a few things here and there, and people can almost feel that you know, it comes from the heart. I don't have the fucking answers, but based on my experience, this is what I think, you know, what I would do if I were you.
I love that. And I love how that you started by saying you come and ask them what they want. Yeah. And I think that's one of the most important things as a leader is and to make sure that people know that you actually care about them is finding out what their interests are. What are their motivations?
Right. So then I recently did a training with, I've been going one-on-one with my, you know, my people, like you said, referred to earlier. But this all looks different. Like I know I shared this on live, and this will look different for all of us. So I was asking my team members, you know, where do you currently stand here? Like, I know that if we're talking about work or finances, yeah, I mean, a lot of times these so-called bosses and we focus heavily on those two, but I like to look at the entire picture, you know. So if some of us are struggling here on the money and finance, and some of the advice that I coach on, then I have a few things that I can share on this department, a few on career and work, and the point is that I was asking our people that it's important for us to know where we're at and what our ideal life would look like, because, you know, I know I have my personal values, and something as simple as like, what are your core values? I know I was confused on that word values, like that S threw me off. Like, what are your core values? And I just removed the S, and it's like value. What do you value? Like, what's important for you? Like, what is your ideal life? And that all looks different depending on who you ask. So we were looking at this with my team, and we went one by one. Where do you stand? Where would you like to get in this money category, on this career one, on this health and fitness, on which ones need attention, like based on what you want your ideal life to look like. You know what I mean? And then based on that, we can talk about a few things that I'd recommend.
Yeah, I love that. You know, when I used to be a part of a leadership or a personal development program called Landmark Forum. Yeah. And there was a gentleman in there, one of the leaders, he shared with me, he said, you know, life is like a wheel. Yeah. If you're missing a spoke in the wheel, your wheel ain't going to roll smooth. And so many of us are trying to have this smooth life, you know, this all around life. But when we don't think of it like a wheel, I mean, if you're missing a spoke, it's going to da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. And that's perfectly what you showed there, is that lack of maybe balance, and you're able to bring more balance up there, and you're able to identify those areas.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Yesterday, I dared to say something that never came out of my mouth, brother. But I was doing the same one-on-one training with I was going over this wheel of life is what it's called. And again, I'm almost a little hesitant about saying, what I'm about to say, but it's truth. I mean, it's truth to me. And as we were going over it, once we were learning about our values, like what our domains is what they refer to, these categories. My most important domain was family and friends, family. And I dare to say that I already consider myself someone that's successful. And successful meaning, like, I'm not, a lot of times when we talk about successful, you're thinking monetary, you're thinking money, you're thinking materialistic stuff. And when I realized that my partner had family on top, I realized that was the same thing that I valued most, family. And if you are anywhere near, or if you're anywhere near my mom, we're in the same room, you can see the look that she has in her eyes about her little one. So nothing is more important to me than that. Like, that is what Andy values more than anything. So I can be gone tomorrow, and I've already considered myself, that success to me. I already surpassed any expectation that mom had about her son. And I mean, that's what's important to me. That's my core values. So it was interesting to take a look at the whole wheel. And the thing is, I know that for a while I did have to make sure this checked off. The money and finance and the career and work. A lot of us might be still trying to figure out the vehicle, because if these two aren't checking off, many of us are still thinking about paying our damn rent, getting our damn bills taken care of. And if that doesn't check off, how are you going to have some fun and recreation if you're not making or meeting, how do you say it? Like, just being able to pay your bills.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna be focused on growing or all these other departments if this one doesn't check off. So, but now that it does, like, I can focus on these other ones, and it's just an interesting conversation that I had recently.
Yeah, and I would love to further dive into that. Our last call was around core values and really understanding how those dictate so much of who you are, what you stand for. A lot of times we see these tech companies and we're like, whoa, that sounds awesome. Like I shared with everybody, when we created the core values of GoFresh, I pretty much copied another CEO's core commitments and then made my own little tweak. And what I realized was we never really had this identity in our early days. And so for us, we had to really understand who we are and what we stand for. And when we created our core commitments, those things stand so firm for us now that when we're hiring, when we're promoting, when we're looking at anything within our company, we look at that core commitment. And so many of our decisions, we like to say we're a data-driven company. Well, the data tells us that this person, stands by the core values that we have. They embody them. They live them. This is them. Like, they're a perfect fit, right? But then we can look at somebody else and be like, well, do they really embody our core values? And because we can't identify those, now we know where they need to work on. Okay, hey, you don't bring your best every day. You don't try to bring your best every day. We can't fix yesterday, but hey, every day we can bring our best. That's one of our core commitments, right? And so maybe that person, today's a bad day, right? Okay, so we got to work with them on our attitude, and that helped us identify those areas. So very similar to your wheel of life, it's a data-driven tool. It allows you to be very transparent about these things. So I love these tools that you're using to help inspire your team. So let me ask you this, Andy. You're an extremely financial successful person, and so you just got rid of your Lambo and now you got a Rolls Royce. And I don't say that to brag, but to say, like, okay, so we see that from social media. You get somebody that comes in your organization, they go, Andy, screw these principles, screw these values. I don't care about a wheel of life. I need a wheel in my Lambo. Yeah. How do you help them get at the core of why these matter so much?
Why? I didn't understand the question, though.
So as somebody that's successful, you attract more people to your organization, right? As a mortgage lender and somebody running multiple offices, you're getting people coming to you saying, hey, Andy, I want to join your team. But when they come to you with that motivation of just money, how do you have that conversation to talk about what they want at their life, and talk to them about their principles and their values, the wheel of life? How do you have that conversation when they're like, yo, I just need to make some money? Yeah.
Well, look, I know that I'm quick to identify if it's really just money that we're after. And truth is, when someone comes in and they're hungry and they are talking about looking to make some money, I'm really just looking for the genuineness in someone. Like, for example, here, I pulled up our core values, and I'm really good at reading good-hearted people. I'm really good at spotting genuine, because I've been working on myself so heavily to know that is, I can identify it. And I can identify the transactional type of person that's really just trying to make a quick buck and quick to want to bounce elsewhere. And that will never enter my circle. It'll be like, they'll poke, and then I'll make sure that I fucking dodge that shit. But I always say that the money will be a byproduct of doing the right things. So it's just I had a talk with Justin, one of our guys here, yesterday, and he said to me, you know what, my family's is super inspired, super motivated about what I'm doing. But truth is, I'm still trying to work on my licenses, man. I'm still not licensed. I haven't done shit. But I told them, what you don't realize yet is that they're seeing the habits, the routine that you've been consistent with. Because when you have the routine, when you have the habits in place, it's bound to give you those results. Like, no one's saying, Andy, oh, bro, you got a Rolls Royce. It's a fucking Rolls Royce. But no one's surprised, because they see the habits. They see that dude's up early. They see that dude's reading. They see that he's paying for coaching, that he's going to seminars. So those habits are bound to produce something. And it doesn't surprise people when shit like that starts happening. So I'm not, too crazy about talking to people about how to make money specifically, rather like focus on building the right habits.
I love it. I love it. And so let me ask you, since we've got you here and we're talking about it, how did you come up when designing these principles, these core values, right? How did you how did you figure these out? Because ultimately, a lot of these embody the type of people you need to achieve the mission that you're on.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're not on just a mission of like, Andy needs to make $1 million or be a billionaire, right? It's something bigger than that. You're really impacting our community. So these things, this is like recruiting an army, right? You're not just looking for people, you're looking for the right people. And so how did you, if you wouldn't mind taking us kind of through your process of how you kind of came up with these core values?
Well, I'll tell you what, I can't even take too much credit for this. I know I had a lot to do with a few opinions, but my sister is the one that put this together. I'm not so much on putting things on paper. I'm more of like, see what I do. Like, judge me on my character based on like what you see me do on a day in, day out, anywhere out on the street with strangers, with people you meet. But my sister did want to make sure that everybody sees it, some in case you're a visual. You know what I mean? But we read some books, and if you want to know, the one that we read was Your Next 5 Moves from Patrick David, and he had a big list of 12. We then ran it by Tim Story, tweaked a few things that we felt were us, and this is what is us.
Amazing.
And it's always being molded. We just recently added the 6th one because we had nothing there talking about clients, when we know damn right that we see everybody as if, I look at a family that I'm helping, and I'm thinking they're a little older. Like, I'm looking at them almost as if like I was helping my parents. This dude is about my age. This could be like my brother here, or someone a little younger. This could be my little brother. You know what I mean? So then we just recently threw that in there, and yeah, I think people know that this is real when they see you do it, more than just reading it on a spreadsheet.
Well, and I think that speaks volumes, right? You have core values that you embody. And I think that's one of the most important parts when you're developing these core values. They have to be things that you actually stand for. Yeah. If you say, hey man, we work out every day, and then you don't work out, like, right? That's disingenuous. And I think what allows you to be such a visionary within your organization, and why so many people buy in and are willing to, I don't want to say do whatever you say, but are willing to follow your lead, is because when they see the core values of TNG and they look at you, there ain't no question. It's like looking at a mirror. They're like, oh, well, that's Andy, right? And I think that's what speaks volumes as a leader, is the type of person that you are, and what you stand for. People want, I wrote it down here, the Nipsey Hustle and Motivate. It's probably my favorite song, right? And I'm coming up at your event and I'm going to be, that's my walk-up song, right? And he says in there, he says, they follow me because they think I know the way, right? And that's the truth. As leaders, that your people have to, they have to believe in you, that you know where you're taking, that you know the promised land. Because if they can't see that, or if they don't believe that, then they're not going to listen to you. No matter how excited you are, or how much you tell them about success, or you even show them success, if they don't think you know the way to where you're saying that you're going, it is the quickest way to lose people. We were talking about this yesterday with some of our organization. The quickest way to lose great people in your team is to be a bad manager. Bad managers is the number one reason people leave companies. It's not the lack of pay. It's not the opportunities. It's not that they didn't like their coworkers. It's bad management and bad leadership, right? They summarize it as bad management, but it's bad leadership. And I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of cohesiveness of the core values and the leader that is. They're like, hey, Andy, you need to do this, but I'm gonna go sit in the office. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, do as I say, not as I do. And I think you embody that. The shoe in your mouth, or the tongue in your mouth matches the tongue in your shoe, right? And so you walk that walk.
Yeah. So I think that more than anything, the team, I like to believe this, they see the drive to continue to improve. Like, as much as we like to think that we have answers, I realize that, like, the truth is I need more help than anybody thinks. Yeah. But me being willing to pay top dollar for that advice, for that coaching, for that guidance, is what I'm sure a lot of our people, can appreciate. Because I don't have the answers. I'm the first one to say I need a shitload of help, but I am out there seeking it. Like, I am probably the most aggressive dude out there looking for that help. And I'm the most vulnerable to know, hey guys, guess what? I openly tell them, guys, I've been trying to figure out this new role, man. I haven't been here before. We have the biggest team in the company. I recently, we set up a team to where I have a lot more time in my hands than what I'm used to. I'm trying to figure this role out. I know that a lot of times as leaders or managers, or, having that position, we have to act as if we knew. And I'm quick to say, shit, I'm trying to figure it out, but I'm getting help, guys.
Yeah. And I think people respect that about you. And I know, when I was at your brother's house post your event, your last TNG event, you asked me, you said, Billy, what could I have done better? When we sat down a couple of weeks ago after EMA, you said, hey, what could I have done better on my speech?
Yeah.
You're always focused on personal development. You're never saying, hey, I'm the best. Like, I'm good, man. I'm Andy. Look at my car. Look at this. Look at that. It's never that. It's you're so quick to deflect and go, hey, but thanks for that. But, like, hey, what could I have done better?
Yeah.
And you set that standard, and I think that spreads throughout your organization, that growth is accepted. Like, it's that the failure is a part of growth. That failure is not that you're a failure. It's the step that you have to take to have growth.
Yeah. So I'm constantly thinking of, like, look, there was a recent little obstacle that we had here with the team recently, and I'm constantly thinking of not the problem, but what I go like this. People call it thumb pointing, but I'm thinking, what could you have done better, brother? Instead of trying to understand how people don't understand you, I'm thinking, dude, there's something you could have done better. Which is why I'm so huge on asking for feedback at all times, man. And I respect your opinion. But a lot of times I am careful about who I'm asking for the feedback. I have a lot of respect and admiration for you. And of course I'd love your feedback, which is why I would ask you. But there's a lot of people that probably wouldn't. Yeah. So very intentional about whose mentorship, whose advice or input I'll consider is another thing I'd add to that.
Amazing. Yeah, no, I mean, you're 100% right, because it's value. You can get value from anybody, any perspective, but you do want to police the type of information that you're getting. As a leader, when you're growing your organization and you're starting to build layers of people, and you're moving from where I first met you and you had, I don't know, 4 or 5 people, right? And I've obviously seen the behind the scenes of what you guys do from your CRM programs and things like that. You're extremely data driven. And I'm sure you would probably argue with me and say that you're not, because you're constantly trying to figure out how to find more data. But I think what's really very transparent within your organization is the conversation around the numbers. And hey, what are you doing? Where can you grow? What's holding up here? I've seen obviously plenty of your content behind the scenes too as well, and you're constantly evaluating those numbers. How much does that help in the vision and direction of your organization, and like how does that help the vision come to reality?
Yeah, like you said, and I got this from you, believe it or not. Like I'm very grateful for your friendship and you just emphasizing the importance of data got us to pay more attention to that, and it does guide us. It does guide the way on what isn't working, what to double down on, and what to pay attention to. And then we know, many of us might know that removes emotions from the equation, and yeah, it's also an indicator. It lets the team know that we're moving in the right direction when they see the numbers supporting, what we're striving for.
Absolutely. As an athlete, how much does that kind of like drive your mindset of like, yo, all right, this is the score? Do you look at it as like a score when you're looking at those numbers? Do you use it as like for you, I'm just curious, is it something that releases endorphins for you that you're like, yes, fuck yeah, we got to keep pushing it? Like, how are you guys communicating the success of the numbers as well?
You know what? I love the numbers. I really do. But what I'm constantly looking for, more than numbers, is the morale. Like, I'm more on people's mindset, because the numbers will come as a result of the right mental approach. So I actually don't look at the numbers till the end of the month when everybody reviews them at the same time as I do. My sister is like crazy about it. I'm here with these guys working them. I'm working them. I'm working this guy. I'm just instilling the right mindset in them.
Love it.
And that produces what it produces. And then it just reassures that like something that everybody's doing is working. But I'm not focused on that. I'm more, I know we're not nowhere near where we're heading, but I know I need to get them to be playoff type players, the dudes that are going to excel when the championship game's on the line. And we're in the regular season right now, baby games, weenie teams, like it's baby stuff right now. All these problems, quote unquote problems, I tell them, guys, like my sister today called me and she told me, Andy, I'm fucking depressed. I just want to sleep today. I just want to kick it. And I said, sister, take a nap. It's all good. You're good. But I just want you to know that a year from now, whatever's like affecting you right now, just know it's going to be problems 10 times bigger. Like, I need bigger problems. Like, I'm welcoming something bigger because of the dude that I'm trying to become, where we're trying to take this. This is all just baby stuff right now. It's just, baby problems is what I call them.
I love that you sorry, dude. I don't know what's going on with our Zoom meeting. I got a new credit card because my other credit card, I lost my wallet. And so I just got a notification. I think we were supposed to wrap at 40 minutes, I guess, or something like that. Do you have a couple more minutes, Andy? I apologize, man. I know I said just till 5:30.
Of course, brother. You tell me, I'm all,
Yes.
I'm in debt with you, Billy.
What was that?
I'm in debt with you. I whatever I can do to help you, bro.
I appreciate you. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Andrew, I totally agree, man. We got to welcome those problems. I think when you set that standard of like, yo, hey, not only is the problem you're dealing with right now, like, hey, yo, handle it, but the problem you're going to be dealing with is going to be bigger. So it's almost like you're setting the intention of like, hey, it's okay that you're dealing with this, but understand that the pressure is only going to get harder, so that this is growth. Like, this is a lesson, right? And your sister's a badass, right? We're not questioning that. But like, for some of your other team that doesn't have that mindset, they could easily get just distracted by that and think, oh man, like, I'm not good enough. But you set that intention early that, hey man, I know this is a big problem right now, but it's going to be a small problem in the future.
Yeah.
And where did that kind of come from for you?
It comes from the sports world. I know we all have bad games during the regular season, but all those are just practice for the championship game. So I'm the last one. I've always known that like someone needs to take that role, and if we ever played sports, I'll be the last one to ever lose my cool, even if the ref calls a stupid play. I know that stupid calls are made all day, every day, in every sport, and so I don't expect people to call the right plays at all times, and I'm prepared for the swings, the emotional swings, and I'm the last one to lose my cool. So this is no different than those sports games, and I'm preparing everybody for that championship game. So when I come to Modesto and it's really just to check them here. I'm not there to talk to them about trainings, or I'm probably one of the few that there's more than half of the team that knows more about the actual business than me. It's that truth.
And I think that's where you as, and I don't want to always use you as the leader, but like you as a leader, you got to know your role.
Yeah.
And it's not about being Andy, the guy that knows everything, right? You just admitted it, like, hey, Maribel's a number person, right? You know, your sister handles that. All month you're pouring mindset. She's keeping the data in point. So sometimes people hear that and go, oh, Andy doesn't look at the numbers till the end of the month. That's what I'm going to do. Everybody's got a different role, right? You know, maybe I'm in a position where I got to be the number guy and the mindset guy, right? And for you, maybe that's where you were early on, right? And as you've gone, you built this team that kind of facilitates these other areas. And that's why building layers of leaders, right? Now you have Beche, Chente, Alex, you know, Fernando. Is that Fernando behind you, by the way?
Yeah.
So what's up? This man's a beast back there. If you guys aren't following Fernando, go follow that man. You got Jonathan, you got all these leaders below you that are now building organizations, you know, below them, right? And so now you're building those layers, but you can't have layers of leaders if you yourself don't play your role, right? You can't have other leaders if you're the guy that does everything. Yeah. And so for you, as you've gone, you've continuously empowered people to take on these new roles. So, you know, being a leader of leaders is always an interesting one. And a lot of us are just leaders of people right now. But as we transition into building those layers, how has that shifted? You know, from training just, you know, individuals to now training people that are training individuals or leading individuals. What has that process been for?
I just had that conversation with Fernando. So my focus recently, or not recently, but it's been for some time now, is identifying my strengths so that I know what position I need to be playing. As a soccer player, I know that if I played center mid, I was going to excel. If I would play defense, right, back, left, trash. Goalkeeper, trash. Forward, okay. But where I was going to excel was center mid. Play Andy as a center mid, because anywhere else he's below average. But if you put him in the center mid, he might have the captain band on his bicep. So then my homework has been to not only find my strengths, but help them find their strengths. So if Fernando, today we had this talk, he already has a team in the works. I'm helping them identify what things we can do to help identify our own strengths. So there's many times where we can catch ourselves being in the zone. Like you just catch us. It's for some, it might be marketing. For some, it might be numbers. For some, it might be sales. For some. So then the thing is, what are those things that like make you lose track of time? That's what one of your natural strengths. So we're looking for natural, because there's a lot of abilities that we may have. Those are things that we learn through repetition. I could do a bunch of shit. I could do the apps. I could do the calculating income. Those are abilities. But what is the thing that allows for me to just, I don't know how long has it been? It's been a cool 36 minutes, and I lost track of time, because this is what allows for Andy to be in flow, in the zone. You know what I mean? So then that brings the best out of Andy. It allows for him to come in more enthusiastic, more creative, better energy. Like our homework as leaders is helping our people identify their strengths.
Wow.
And that's been my focus. And me teaching them to help teach their people. And making sure that we're putting people in position to win. Sometimes if someone isn't doing their job right, it might not be their fault. We place them in a position to fail. So then that's a fucking reflection on us.
Yeah. Wow. And I think too, it's like, it is a shift of like, you know, Fernando being an all-star and then now having to go to being the coach. You know, you can't be the point guard and the coach, right? I'm sorry, I'm going to use the basketball. You can't be the forward and the coach, right? You've either got to be the forward or you've got to be the coach focused on the positions, right? And almost forecasting where the problems or where the offense is going, right? You've got to beat them there.
Yeah. So like example, Fernando, we know that he's a little more. You can show up to a room, any office, and people are gonna fuck with Billy because that's you can call it extrovert, you call it people skills, but you can come in and you will connect. He's a little more. It might seem a little awkward if Fernando walks in the room and he's trying to act like that player. But if he leverages, he knows that that's not his strength, and he leverages off of an end. Like, hey, brother, any 7 appointment, I'm gonna go with you. You fucking get me in the door, and then I know that I'll be able to nurture these relationships. I just need someone to leverage off. So now he knows his strengths, and he can leverage whatever he needs help with.
And you know, it's so funny. A lot of times people, when they have to confront their weaknesses, it's almost like they're like, oh, okay, I got to bring those up. But instead of acknowledging that, hey, these are my weaknesses, instead of focusing so much energy there, doubling down on their strengths and going, yo, I'm going to become a superhuman and just go all in on the things that I am really great at.
Yeah.
You know, and I think too often we're like, oh, we're going to work on our weaknesses and we ignore our strengths and we don't see the true success of our strengths because we're trying to be that extrovert when you're an introvert, right? Or you know, like for me, I try to slow it down and talk professional and slow.
No,
and like that shit fucked me up, man.
Wired Billy is your gift. Like you'd be suppressing your God-given ability.
But that's we often don't see that because, and I think this is one of the greatest things as leaders, and to have vision is to have awareness. And you have to be aware to understand what it is that you're where you're going, right? You have awareness that, hey, I got to be in the right place to get my team to the right place, right? So if you're not in the right position because your ego is telling you, hey, I need to be everywhere, then you can't really be in the right place. And so as a leader, we have to have that awareness to know, where are my strengths? Because like you said, you being the forward, yeah, that might be the cool guy, that might be the big contract guy, that might be the, you know, the goal scorer. But if you want to go to college, you want to play in the pros, you want to do that and play at the next level, you had to play center mid because that's where your strengths were. And so for us to be that all-time great, to lead our team, to our organization, to change our lives, to do whatever it is whatever our goals are, we've got to play our strengths, not our weaknesses. So I love that, man. Andy, I want to talk to you about your organization has. There's some monsters, right? Everybody's got crazy mindset, but I would love, if you don't mind, sharing some maybe some struggles where you as a leader had to help somebody through a tough time. And I got one question after this, and I'll let you go. I really appreciate you giving me some more time.
As long as you want us on your brother. But the question was, what was the question?
Take us kind of through more of times, because we talked a lot about success, and then maybe you have already acknowledged these times where some struggles, right? Maybe somebody had a failure, right? Was plateaued or wasn't really breaking through to those levels that they were hoping to. How were you able to help them get re-engage and like be empowered to go take action on that on those goals?
Honestly, bro, nothing comes to mind right now. But what I can tell you is that I'm constantly talking to my guys about, I want to say that more than half of the time we're talking about life rather than business. And we're always talking about how's the relationship with wifey. Like that's one of our most common relationships, because I know that a lot of the guys, if not all, have the potential to fucking take it to levels that maybe they don't even see right now. Like we see things for them that they might not even know that are a possibility. But I also know that the person that we sleep with could be the one gunning down those dreams. I know that our real business partner isn't Andy, it's the person we sleep with. So I'm constantly in their ear about like, how is it at home? How are things? And the talks, I have more conversations about partners than probably anything else. You know, because if they're married or in a relationship, I know that that's the real business partner. And if they're single, I know that could be the biggest distraction too. You know, so then they know that like my intentions are not just work and are you getting the job done and are you bringing leads in, like that. That'll be in place if these other areas are also, intact.
Man, I love how you brought it full circle with that last statement, which is pretty much just getting back to like, it's about making sure that you're one, aware to what's actually happening in life, right? Having your priorities clear and really just being honest with yourself, man. Because like, I think when we look at that's the wheel that you showed us, the wheel of life, you know, so many people as entrepreneurs, right? And I share this from stage, we just are like all in on money. But wife, like, don't you understand? I'm doing this for us. She said, but when have you done anything for me? Like, when was the last time you bought me flowers? When did you take me on a date? You know, those types of things. And I think as entrepreneurs, we get so focused on that money part of life, and we forget about that person that's supporting us right next to us.
So I've gone to you for advice on that. So I'm one thing that it's been, I don't know, I want to assume that it's been helping is I'm extremely vulnerable, bro. Like, I'm not coming off as like, my life is perfect. They know all my struggles too. I'm so open about it so that they know that I'm a fucking human being too. But when I share an opinion, they know it's coming from a good place. Yeah. Business is going to take care of, like, business. I have no doubt in my mind that their efforts will be there. The work will be put in. I just need them to understand that it's bigger than money and business. Yeah. Our relationship is more important than that, because that will be taken care of. If they understand that what we have here is genuinely brotherhood. Love it. Man. And you can't write that on a script. It's like, you feel that or you don't. Yeah. And I make sure they feel it, because those are my genuine intentions. You can't beat that. But that's your core value. That's who you are. Not on a piece of paper, but that's who you are at your core, is a good person that cares about other people, right? You said that you care about other people. That's your strength. So for you, we can clearly see, I mean, I think I can speak for everybody here. We all see your strength, right? You're a clear communicator or connector of empowering people, you know, wanting to help people get the most out of life, right? We see that you're extremely unselfish with your time. I mean, you know, one, spending time on this call, and just all the times that you've given me, you know, and to everybody in your organization, you pour into people, and we can clearly see that. I'm in debt with you, brother. But look, it's also very important. Like, we're in the business world, but we need to understand that the money, the finances, the deals, the sales, the closes will come as a byproduct. It's just the byproduct. It can't be the focal point. And people will see if that is the focal point. Wise people, the people readers, like the high level individuals that we all want to network with, will read that shit. Like, we catch it. And if we're working on them to getting them up to the level, they'll also catch it at some point. When they get to a solid point, they're going to balance, because they'll catch up onto that if they know that is the intention. And I think, Andy, you know, just to kind of like to wrap it up here, it's like, I see what you just shared is I think as leaders, one of the most important things about having awareness is the realization that we can learn, we become better by having that awareness, right? The reason that you can see these things about people or be able to read people is because you've had enough interactions, you sat across from enough people. And that means you might get burned by a person or two, or you might thought somebody was the perfect person, and then you found out they weren't, right? This happens to all of us. You know, we think we have the perfect hire, and then we bring them in, and then they don't show up. And you're like, damn, I thought I read it right. And then you start to learn those patterns, and you're like, oh, actually, you know, realistically, there was a couple red flags, or, you know, these types of things. You start to recognize these things as you go. And I think for you, not only, like I said, yeah, you care about people, but like your awareness to the people around you and to yourself is I think what allows you to, one of the things that allows you to be just a tremendous leader. So, well, man, I appreciate you, Andy. I mean, I've already taken, you know, extra time of yours, so I appreciate you, man, hopping on here and letting me pick your brain a little bit. Real quick, does anybody have any questions for Andy before we let him go? Nobody's got a question? Come on now.
I got one.
All right, there he is.
Andy,
talk to me.
are we balling up, or you still scared? I don't know.
You don't want to see me in the soccer field.
We're talking about soccer, man, but
I've been going
I don't know you really want to see me in there.
21 years old right now. That's another thing. We got to play the long-term game. I know a lot of us are either short-term strategists, mid-term strategists, or long-term strategists. A lot of us, need a step, take a step back and think of the moves we're making. And is this a short-term kind of game that I'm playing here? And that's the transactional type, the type that wants to get that close today. Versus a long-term one that is looking for that long-term relationship that you can reap from each other. You can do that exchange of value
Just hop in.
long-term.
Yeah.
But yeah, Damien, so you can get an ass whooping whenever you want, brother. Let's go ball up.
Whenever.
Oh, I love it, Andy. I love it.
Never know, but both of you guys, thank you. Thank you a lot for hopping out here, spending some game out here, being great leaders. I really appreciate you too.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, brother. Okay. Any other questions before we let Andy go? I'm gonna plug Andy's event real quick. We got a great event in Modesto in 9 days, 10 days, July 17th. For those of you guys that are in, none of you are in the Central Valley. If any of you are, I mean, you all live close. I mean, AJ is probably the furthest right now. You know, it's a short drive. It's gonna be a great event. You know, I'm one of the speakers talking about relationships. And along with Willie Escobar, JJ, I mean, some just Alpha Slice, I mean, some amazing speakers. So, you know, definitely go out and support Andy's event. I'll be out there, of course, like I said, speaking, but just contributing, pouring into everybody. So I'd love to connect with any of you guys that are going to be out there. But Andy, anything else you want to wrap up with before we close out?
Thank you for the opportunity, brother. It's always, this is my, if you want to call it my why, this is what feels good to me.
Yeah.
This is my favorite form of currency right here. Knowing that I could give back, maybe some help some of you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It's that's what makes our community great is people just pouring into each other, right? And that's what Level Up stands for. It's not about me leveling up, it's about us leveling up, right? And that's what we're all doing. We're all here to do is to help each other level up. And you know, I appreciate you, bro. Anything I could do for you, always know, you know, just one text message, one call away, man. I appreciate you. This Saturday podcast, right?
Yes, sir.
There we go. There we go. All right, Andy, I appreciate you. Guys, I want to, you can stay on if you want, Andy, but I'm just going to wrap up with these guys with a couple housekeeping things for you guys. So
See you
appreciate
guys.
you.